Howdy ho everybody, season letter to the future in tonight's video. So season is a difficult title to decipher or even to tell. The best advice is to let yourself be pampered by one of the most beautiful narrative adventures ever played. So, the developer of this developer and the publisher, this Scavenger Studio. And the release date is the January 31, 2023. So, my colleague, Tom, breaks into his cafe Saturday night on the sofa, sending me the messages from the smartphone how I can do some quality content to him, that I'm too in tears in front of the game, that every moment I was spent in playing it out in one breath. But you know what's more difficult? That I didn't find that, and the season and letter to the future is it. Because, as I said before, my partner told me that. So, even more difficult mission, how I can tell you about the beauty of the season and letter to the future without failing into the most classic descriptive platies. I cannot, and I'm using this denial as a circumstance, but as an affirmation. Season is a title that must be experienced with all senses properly polished. A bit like explaining to someone what Lost is about, because a short yes, the story of a group of survivors who meet after a plane crash on a mysterious island, but if not just that. The season is coming to an end, in particular world far from our reality. This is almost comparable to an end of the world, but without those typical dramatic connotations that we usually suffer from the films, books, or even video games. A season that ends, it's like particularly era that sees it want to end to something different. Give the assumption, our protagonist decides to collect the images, tastes, flavors, sounds, and emotions of his season, since in the following seasons there will be need to keep a historical record of what happened, or worse, if there will be drastic changes in the world, immortalize the past to the future. Whenever walking or riding a bike, as we pedal down the street road with a wine brushing our hair, reflecting the light of the distant sunset, our mission to capture today. Camera album inside the backpack and the voice recorder. Whenever it's sound of water gushing from the fountain, the croaking of the frog, are memories of some deceased who have remained impregnated in white flowers that grow by the roadside. Everything is on the sign of the era season that is being lived, which has its own history with direct evolutions, mysteries, and memories lost in the wind. Explaining season's experience, it's already mentioned, is extremely difficult, since as I happen to write one more the occasion with the game, such as Lake, net of the extremely basic game's mechanics, the trump card of the title, and the emotions they wrap themselves around the game, growing and talking root hour after hour. Undoubtedly, there is a great satisfaction in photographing that remains of the season, where everyone is preparing for its end. While it's extremely galvanizing to precise every single noise that could be useful to record and annotate in our diary, the latter becomes a real extension of the game objective. This is to collect, annotate, photograph, record, and even give the future clearest possible picture of what this season has been as it draws to the end. There is no getting lost in specifically raising soundtracks, because the best musical component is precisely the word, its colors, its noises. To be discovered on the saddle of the bicycle, pedaling non-stop towards the sunset or the incessant tramp. Real emotions that play on PS5 find an edge in the always excellent DualSense with a precise and never-abandoned haptic feedback, capable of simulating to touch to live the experience. That diary will not be just good a game diary, but a real blank sheet where we can place each find as liked. Fill in with drawings, colors, stickers, photos. In short, everything that real blank canvas to fill without any limit. In the moments of the greatest rest of the protagonist, lines of the dialogue on what we are expecting or some notions received from old wise men of country will help us. We talk a lot in the season, and every exchange is put a specific reason to tell us the past of character of those who point out that memory is becoming serious problem, of how the season bar is added due to a strange sleeping sickness, and this is precisely during the dream. There will still the possibility of remembering and meeting again with the people who are not longer with us. The world of season is similar to ours, but it's imbued with amazing magic to be discovered step by step in characters as bizarre as they are sinister, which cows ready to be stroked and those trying to organize small military relatives to be reborn in the next season. Season in continuous story of a flower that is born, grows, withers and dies. Each season characterized by these passengers, long or short. They have their own identity, something important to tell, worthy of being impressed and handed down over the time. This is War is Season is absolutely unmissable title for everyone who is sensitive to this type of production. Difficulty to tell, but rich to live in their experience. So in a shortly, we can make the pros and the gains or cons. So about the cons, the lack of English, a bit, sometimes I felt that. I mean, like the purest English, you know what I mean? And the pros is the photographing and recording the entire game where the silent sounds of nature narratively rich with an insights and a multifaceted background. So shortly, Season is phenomenal work, not only the classic Little Peer, but an all-round video game experience capable of excite, tell, immerse us in the last moments of reality that could end, change, mutate, and amortization and movement mechanism with towns, villages, and glimpses of nature, disarming beauty.